Welcome to Utah Stories. So today on the program, we got a very special guest. He is a coach at the Other Side Village, Rob Myrick. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yes, you are.
Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So you've got the unique distinction of coming from a really rough place and now coaching other people who are from very rough places, tough backgrounds. And I think that model has proven to be extremely effective because people from rough places perhaps don't trust people who just got a psych degree from the U of U and think they know all about the criminal mind and things like that. What's the difference? How has that made a difference in your life, and how are you making the difference in other people's lives?
Yeah, so I got the beautiful opportunity to get my life back at the Other Side Academy, and now I get another beautiful opportunity to help start the Other Side Village and build a culture that is grounded on the same principles: accountability, hard work ethic, integrity, and see if there's other things that can add value to our community. So partnerships with clinicians and different aspects like that.
So what was your background like when you look back on how you ended up before at the Other Side Academy?
So before the Other Side Academy, I started making some bad decisions when I was really young, and learned some of those patterns through my family, through the friends I surrounded myself with. And I wanted to be accepted, and I learned pretty quickly that the easy way to do that was to fall in with some people that weren't living healthy lifestyles. It continued to get darker and darker as time progressed, and by 15, I was using hard drugs. By 19, I caught a federal indictment, and by the time I got to be 26 is when I went to the Other Side Academy. My life consistently got worse and worse and worse, and when I hit rock bottom and was ready to do something different, there was nowhere for me to go. Burned all my bridges, and there was one place that I could go, and I heard it was going to be really hard, and I got lucky and found my way in there and met some good people.
So you were using drugs when you were 15,
Yeah.
hard drugs. How did you get those drugs?
I used for my first time marijuana and alcohol when I was, I think, 7 or 8 years old. And when I got to be 15 years old, the school systems where we were at, there was things were prominent. It wasn't a surprise to see somebody who was using drugs around. It was very common.
Where did you go to school?
So I went to school on the west side, and I want to take back the school systems. I don't think they're to blame. I think it's, I found people that I felt comfortable around, and that was people who didn't expect much.
And how did you end up with those bad people? Like, were your parents kind of checked out, or what led you to that?
So I have a brother and sister that are both 8 to 10 years older than me, and they were well into the life of addiction by the time I moved down here to Utah. I grew up in Alaska, super small town, similar problems there. When I moved down to the west side of Utah, it was a bit of a culture shock, and I spent a lot of time with my siblings, and they were already on that path. And so when I went to school, I found people to leave and skip school with, and very quickly I, found all the behaviors that come with that pattern.
Wow. So your brother and sister were drug addicts, and you come from Alaska to start and you just immediately start using drugs with them.
Yeah, I started using when I was a kid. Everybody in my family, when somebody got to be old enough to start asking questions, generally they were taught in the wrong way. And when I started to get so out of control, my mother couldn't handle me in Alaska. She sent me down here to live with my father. He's a military man, and he wanted me to go to school and be a part of doing all of that. But when I left the house, I spent time with people committing crimes and out there getting high and doing things like that.
Did your dad know about it?
My dad wanted to see the good in me. I lied to him. And so he didn't know. I'm sure he saw signs and wanted to believe that his kid was out there doing good things. And so I lied to him a lot of times, but eventually you can only lie so much until people know what's going on.
So did you, with your brother and sister being so much older than you, did they start to get incarcerated and into trouble, but while you were still young?
Yes, both of my siblings had been to prison. I think before very young, they both did the same thing.
And how is it that kind of drug culture gets ingrained in society? Is it supply creates the demand, or is there abuse, neglect that creates the demand? What is it that has caused this epidemic, in your opinion?
It is so hard. That's a very difficult question to answer. I know when there's people out there, people wanting to use drugs and alcohol is probably never going to go away. And as long as people, probably the demand is pretty high for it. And
All right. So you found your way. What did it take for you to reach rock bottom?
So I mentioned before that I had got indicted when I was 19, and I turned 21 fighting a case, and ended up my case got dropped, and I went back out to the streets and thought that was going to be enough to change my life. It wasn't. I thought, okay, I'm just going to have one beer here, one beer there, do something like that. And it didn't work like that for me. Right before I went to the academy, I was in a spot of, going to pick up my drugs, go to the hospital to use my drugs at the hospital, because I knew I was going to die if I didn't do something different. And every time I would wake up, I'd realize, okay, man, this isn't happening, and there's probably something that needs to happen in my life. When I really started looking for help, I was able to find something.
So you kind of knew on your own and figured it out on your own. You weren't court ordered, and you didn't write a letter.
I walked into the academy.
Wow.
I would like to say I knew on my own, but I had a lot of people that cared about me, were pushing really hard for it. But I knew how it was going to end. I knew I was going to be in prison forever. I was going to die, or I was going to spend my life behind a dumpster on the street. And so, yeah.
So your family was like, you should join this place and get enrolled, and that's cool. And so you've been in the academy for how long now?
I got there in 2018. I spent 4 years at the Other Side Academy, and I moved over to the Village. So I've been with the Village for almost 3 years now.
Boy, that's great. So 7 out of the 10 years they've been around, you've been a part of the program.
Coming up, yeah.
And so as you've seen the growth of the Other Side Academy, and it's just the population of people they're helping has grown, has the culture always remained the same?
Man, the Other Side Academy is a lucky organization, because we believe it comes from the top down. And so when you have Dave DeRocher as the leader, and the staff hold themselves to a higher standard than they push on any student, there's always an ebb and flow to it. But, the example that the leadership sets there is unwavering in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you've had the choice to leave, but you've chosen for 4 additional years to stay there. What is the carrot that keeps you around?
You get there thinking what you need is a couple weeks clean and sober, and I'm going to be all right. You get clean and sober, and you think, man, I still suck at a lot of things. I don't tell the truth. I'm kind of lazy. And some people tell you about it. And then you start to feel what that feels like. Okay, I work every day. I hold healthy boundaries with people, and you feel good. And if you're lucky enough, you stay long enough to help other people learn that. I think once you get a taste of that, it is, what else are you looking for in life? You get to be around good people and help other people get there.
So you feel a lot of confidence just in the work you're doing daily there.
Yeah, it's I couldn't picture doing anything else with my life. Getting to help other people is the best purpose.
That's great. And so now that you are a coach at the Other Side Village, tell me about the people you're coaching and how you're going about it.
Yeah, so I know there was a lot of skepticism of taking the Other Side Academy approach, and taking something similar with people with severe and persistent mental illness and helping the chronically homeless population. It's really prominent. And so we know how to build a good culture. We've proven that time and time again. What are ways we can add to our culture? Not change it, not soften it, still be honest about the important things. But do some people need some supportive medication? Do some people need a little bit more flexible work so that they can work to feel dignity and things like that?
Mm-hmm. And it seems like a big part of the culture at the Other Side Academy is kind of basically, for lack of a better term, calling people out on their BS.
Yeah.
Like, we can see through your BS, and you're trying to lay it on thick. Do you have to be more sensitive with people who have mental illness, or is it a different treatment or approach?
I don't think a person's real journey can begin until they have like an open, honest foundation. And so we do stand for the same principles of truth. There's a lot of shame that comes from being on the streets, and you get beat down to where you don't think you can change. And so, hey, I'm going to be honest enough to tell you that today you were a liar, man. But I support you enough so that we can have conversations this time next year. You don't have to be a liar anymore. So, the truth and the honesty, same level. Maybe a different approach at times, yeah. Sometimes the same.
But sometimes you just are dressing somebody down, calling them out. Like,
we the boundaries and the accountability you can't compromise on that.
Yeah. Well, that's very cool. So the village is about to open. The first units are about to go in. Once it's open, are you going to live there on site?
So I manage the prep school facility, which is like where they go get their foundation before they move into the village. Hopefully build those healthy relationships. I really like that right now. Maybe one day in the future be a part of the coach team at the village, but I plan on continuing to manage the prep school.
And where is this actual prep school at?
So right now we've got a building in Murray. We can house 20 people there, so the coaches live on site. We have about 13 neighbors right now, so we've been building our culture for the last year or so.
Huh. And so everybody lives there?
Yep.
That's cool.
As of right now, yeah.
And do you still go over to the academy and hang out there, or you pretty much just hang out where you're at? Or
I spend a lot of time at the village, but I don't think the day will come where I don't go over to the academy. I still have relationships with people that are students there from since I've graduated. A lot of the people I went through that place with are staff now, so I always enjoy. The neighbors love going to spend time at the academy.
Really?
Oh yeah, very much so.
Huh. Yeah, it seems like it's such a positive place.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to describe when you walk in, but it's so clean and everybody's so upbeat, and it just gives you it gives you like a sense of optimism about all these problems, because you go downtown, you see so many homeless people, you see so many people who are mentally ill, and you really feel like, gosh, can we ever solve this problem? Do you think that there is hope on the horizon that we can actually overcome as a nation, not just a state, these big homeless problems, addiction, mental illness that we're trying to tackle?
I don't know if solve the problem is ever going to happen, because I think as long as that problem exists, there'll be people who don't want to be helped. But I think as long as somebody's ready to do what they can do to get out of that spot, I believe that more people will start to realize that it's possible. In that house, it's happy because people are fighting battles. And so when there's hard times, they approach them head on, learn, grow. After that, like, what is there to be upset about? You're overcoming things.
Yeah. Well, very cool. Well, thanks a lot, Rob, for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's very cool what you're doing. All right. Thanks for watching Utah Stories. If you would like to be a bigger part of Other Side Academy, you can get involved several ways. They have the thrift store, which is full of amazing, great products that you can get for inexpensive. That's on State Street, and what's the south of that?
4290 South.
4290 South. The donut shop, which just opened, it's an incredible donut shop, gourmet donuts, is on Redwood Road. If you don't know where to go, don't know what to do, and you're homeless and you are out of hope and you're at rock bottom, go sit on their bench and go check out and learn about their programs. They can basically refer you to the Other Side Village. All right, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.